Hi everybody, this is video tutorial for NeutrinoParticles Editor, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to create leaves template from samples project of the editor. You can find these templates in templates, leaves, and for now, for version 1.0.11, we have two leaves templates. They are very similar and differs only by amount of particles, size, and different parameters of physics, like forces, different parameters of forces. So let's create second leaves example. I'll start from empty project, create new effect, call it leaves, and let's start from starting position. Starting position will be point from path. We need to fall particles down, so I'll change steady motion to motion with forces for changing position. We have by default directed force 100 down. Let's make it 400. Some air resistance 600. Let's make size 15, 20. And we will not use max lifetime termination. Instead of it, I'm going to add path terminator and terminate particles by a path, which will be like a floor for the effect. Okay. We have 5 particles per second. Let's make 10 of them. 10 per second. And let's make little side flying of particles like turbulence, but in this effect I will not use turbulence because it is a good feature, but if we can to simulate turbulence and make it much easier, much less consumable for CPU, then it's better to simulate it and use turbulence only for effects where it is really necessary. I'm going to add another one, directed force, which will depend on particle time, and for this force I need to tune only X graph because it will attract particles only to the left or to the right. So I'll delete all curves and then no, it's too big, and then create a graph for the force by x-axis. It will be something like this. 1 second it will attract particle to the right, and to the right till 600s, and then to the left till 600s and back. Now we have such curved line of particles. I'm going to make it shorter, so half a second it will increase and half a second it will decrease. And now you can see that all particles start to fly right and left like simultaneously by the same path. So we need to add shift to this graph. This shift will add random value to the x-axis. First of all, before the shift, we need to make this graph x-axis graph repeated to the right, and then we need to add random shift from 0 to 2 seconds, and particles start to fly randomly. Now let's play with rotation. By default we have phase rotation, so all particles are directed to the camera, and we need free rotation if we want to make such free flying sheets of paper or leaves. Free rotation, starting angle 0, so let's make it random value from 0 to 360. And you can see all particles randomly rotated, but this rotation is not changed. So I'll make steady rotation, steady change in angle, and by default we have 90 degrees per second, so all particles slowly rotating to the right, for example, in the same direction. However, they are rotated randomly about random axis, so this rotation is actually random. Instead of this fixed speed, I want to have random speed. Random value from minus 360 till 360. And it's fine when particle rotates like 200 degrees or 300 degrees, but it's not really look good when it doesn't rotate at all, so this random value is near to 0. So I'm going to change this random to random on graph. Random on graph will make possible to choose which values I want to use for this randomness. I'll make a graph, and the values from this graph will be taken by random value from 0 to 1. So now we have a graph where particles can rotate only minus 200 or plus 200 degrees per second. So random value will be from 0 to 1, and possible values are only minus 200 and 200. I'll make a little diversity, so it will be from minus 300 till minus 200, and from minus 200 till 300, and it can be even faster. And faster. Yeah. And the final step is a point of rotation. For now you can see that center of rotation, center of each particle, is in the center of geometry, and it doesn't look really natural, even close to natural. So we need to shift that center of geometry a little bit, not a little bit, to shift this center out of geometry. In appearance properties, we have origin property, which is from for x-axis, and for y-axis we can set position of origin on geometry. 0 is left side of particle, 1 is right side of particle, and for y is top and bottom as well. And we can even set minus 0.5. In this case, center will be placed outside of geometry, and the geometry will be rotated around that point, and our rotation will be more diverse, more random, more sophisticated. And now I see that rotation has too much speed. A little less, and yeah, it looks like falling leaves. This shifting of center of geometry is an easy and cheap way to add such complexity to the rotation. So feel free to use it whenever possible, and whenever it will make effect much more natural. Okay, that's it. And for if you want to have bigger leaves, or bigger number of them, or smaller leaves, you will need to tune forces, parameters of forces, of rotation, for each effect separately, of course. Okay, thank you for watching. Bye bye.